We now are living near these days, the dreadful days of judgment, the end of the judgment, the end of those years now approaches us. We cannot say to you that which we do not know. Less time will prove us liars. God have said to me that the time has long past due for the executing of the wicked, the enemies, who have misled the whole world of black man, except about 10% of them. So he taught me night and day in person for 3 whole long years and about 4 or 5 months. And he still guides me. He still speaks to me whenever he pleases. Right directly the voice comes to my ear from his mouth, like listen to a word from you whenever he pleases. He have taught me so many signs and so many ways that he can guide me, not by word alone, and not by singing him in person, but just by hints. And I have learned those hints of various things. The judgment is coming. No, it's not coming, it's here. Why should we have a judgment? Why should people be judged? It is because of an act of an evil one that did not love truth and righteousness and wanted to make a complete people who also did not or would not love truth and righteousness and justice, that they may mislead us in the way of righteousness. In this way, turning the whole nations of the earth, the aboriginal people, the black man, into following them, believing in them in their falsehood. He would be able to carry down at the day of resurrection, day of judgment, most everyone that did not have the knowledge of him. Of them, as I should say, for they are a whole race of people. This people that I am referring to is none other than the white race. They have ruled according to their God, Yaakov, who gave them the knowledge, who made them and taught them how to rule us for the past 6,000 years. This has been done, and they brought us up without the knowledge of ourselves, making us a prey to them in the day of judgment in which we now live. Who will judge the Son of Man? Who is this Son of Man, you may question? He is a man that the Almighty God of the black man's nation made for the purpose of being the judge today.
The judgment on universal corruption. All the nations of the earth are so corrupt with other than good that they cannot come to any agreement on peace with each other, then carry it into practice. The disagreement and corruption today is seen not only in the Christian world of Europe and America, but also in the very heart of the Holy Land in Africa and Asia. Corruption started in Europe, and it has now spread over 9/10 of the population of the world. It has caused the dissatisfaction of nearly 100% of the civilized nations. This dissatisfaction has reached such a percentage that it is bound to bring about universal war, since the corruption is universal. The continuing disagreement between the heads of the nations is referred to as confusion and conflict in the Bible and Holy Quran. In this world of universal corruption and crisis and the ever-growing threat of universal war, we, the so-called American Negroes, the lost found members of the tribe of Shabazz, should unite and take our stand on the side of Allah, his religion of peace, and our own nation, the Black people. So welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Happy Monday. Welcome back to On the Shoulders of Giants. I am Joseph Ward. Continuing our reading of Elijah Muhammad's message to the Black man in America. This chapter is The Judgment on Universal Corruption, pages 265 to 305. 265 to 305. Pages 265 to 305. So the overall tone of this chapter is talking about the judgment, America being judged for its crimes against Black people, and the eventual fall of America due to the judgment of Allah, and due to it being time being time for America to fall. Elijah Muhammad believes that the white man were created to rule the non-white people for 6,000 years, and their time is up. And because their time is up, America is coming to an end, or the reign of white supremacy, rather, is coming to an end. And that's an urgency for Black people to separate from the white supremacy, separate from white America, separate from America as a whole, create nations within a nation. Because, well, and I'll say this part from in my mind, the separation would be because if America falls and you're dependent upon America, you're going to fall with it. So to survive the fall and even be able to thrive after the fall, you have to have your own if America is to fall. Now, I say this all the time, and I warn against praying for the fall of something that you are attached to. You're also praying for your own downfall. So we got to make decisions on what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, especially if we're going to go full steam ahead on going with the ideology of America is coming to an end. All right. So would Black America also come to an end? But should America be judged for its crimes against Black people? Yeah. But also taking into the overall account of how the world actually works. World domination, it's what it is. That's what it always was, and it's what it always is. Domination of the known world. So once again, we can't get caught up into our feelings. We have to get caught up into planning and taking proper action, proper planning, proper action to put ourselves in positions of power, become powerful, become a nation of people, become a people who are not easily oppressed, who are not easily controlled, who are not easily enslaved, who are not easily defeated. In order for the new to come in, the old have to be extinguished. But we have to be powerful enough to extinguish the old so the new can come in and the new can blossom. But that's going to be on us and what we choose to do as a group of people. The information is here, but we have to use the information. All right, so let's jump back into it. It's not, well, let's jump back into it. It's a good chunk of this chapter. It's a good chunk of information that's in here. So the breakup of the old world. According to the changes of civilization by Allah, and its messengers from Moses to this day, and the last messenger, the resurrection and return of the lost and found mentally dead members of the Aboriginal people of Earth, the Black nation. That resurrection is now. Today, we live at the end of the world of people who have ruled the Black man and its various colors between black and white for the last 6,000 years. The world of disbelievers and hypocrites. Now, these are the days and the end of the rule of the white man. I'm referring to the rule of the people mentioned by Jesus, Allah, and the Holy Quran as being a people who are created so that they might be tried and ruling the righteous for the past 6,000 years. For the first 2,000 years were spent in the caves and hillsides of Europe. They suffered divine chastisement for the first 2,000 years on this continent for their troublemaking and for causing war and bloodshed among the original Black people who had not suffered from wars, exploitation, and enslavement before the creation of the people by their father Yaqub. Go read world history. Go read the history of Africa. Go look at the history of Africa. Go look at the history of the world. In order for empires to expand, there has to be conflict. When white men arrived in Africa, they were able to use the tribalism that was already going on between the African tribes to manipulate them against each other. So, you know, I see what he's saying, not taking away the history of the Europeans, the violent history that they do have, because they do have a violent history. But we do have to put things into proper context. When the Europeans arrived in Africa, Africans were already, you know, having conflict and tribalism with each other. Just want to put that context in it. Today, they have filled the earth with their wickedness, and there is 100% dissatisfaction against their continued rule over the nation's Black people. Right. So if you are sick and tired of a people ruling you, and this particular group of people have been ruling you for a significant amount of time. In America, we know over 400 years, over 500 years, we've been under the thumb of white supremacy. So what do you do? What is your next step? How do you get from up under the thumb of the white supremacists who you view as your enemy? You view these people as your enemy. These people historically have dehumanized you in the worst ways. And you are at a place in time in 2024 where you want to do something about it. So the question is, what proper actions do you take? What do we do as a group of people, whether we're a large group or a concentrated group? What do we do as a group of people to help ourselves, to get ourselves out of the situation that we find ourselves in, to get ourselves past the exploitation, the oppression, the depression, the suppression? If racism is a team sport, we have to play like a team. We have to become a team first. That's one of our biggest hurdles is, remember, we have to become a team, and we have to become a competent team. We have to become a team that is that's a formidable opponent, that's a respected opponent, taking proper actions, building ourselves up, taking ourselves serious, getting rid of the vacant esteem, building our individual esteem and our collective esteem, loving ourselves as individuals and loving ourselves as a group of people, and being able to see ourselves and start to exist as a powerful nation of people. Their history shows troublemaking, elimination, and death to all darker people from the far-off lands and mainlands of Asia, as well as the South Seas and the Pacific Atlantic Oceans. All have been touched by their destructive hand and the evil way of civilization, and finally the bringing of my people to make their destruction sure. Actually, it was the self-elimination for them to have brought our fathers in slavery. This act was charged to them by the divine supreme being as being the most wicked people on earth. Now we see the results of the fight of the ignorant among our people to gain sincere love from a people who have no sincere love among themselves.